Hi, my name's Mark Gordon. I'm captain of the Amicus II, and welcome aboard our boat. We're going to give you a little virtual tour of our sailboat so you can get an idea of what it's like down below here. So we're going to start right up here, and this is called the V-berth, this area. If you look way up there, we have 300 feet of chain behind that curtain up there for anchoring, and then our bed up here. And this is typically where Katya and I live. That's our sleeping quarters and our kind of private space up there. We often have crew on board, and when you come on board the Amicus II, everyone's issued one of these baskets right here. And so we give you a packing list, and if you follow it, just about everything you bring on board is going to fit right in that basket, believe it or not. And then you also get a little cubby back here. You can see behind every cushion and under every cushion there's tons of storage that we use for all kinds of different things. Here we have our diesel heater, and which is really nice for early season sailing. We do a lot of sailing in May and June when the lake temperatures are in the 30s, and so it's really nice to be able to be out in the cold conditions all day and then anchor up at night and turn that baby on. It gets 70 degrees in here really fast, and it's just really nice and cozy. Of course, everybody always wonders what's the bathroom situation like. Well, I gotta tell you, there's no shower on board this boat, but we do have a bathroom right in here, and the signature piece of our bathroom is our composting toilet. And we've had a composting toilet for over 20 years now in our various boats, and we couldn't be happier with it. One of the biggest limitations for cruising on Lake Superior is how far you can go away from a dock if you have a holding tank, which is about 3 days. And of course, we travel sometimes 30 days without going into a dock. And so with a composting toilet, we can be out indefinitely and not have to worry about pump outs or finding a place to empty out our holding tank. So we're really big fans of the composting toilet.
Hi, I am Katya Gordon. I'm Mark's wife, and I am first mate on the Amicus II, and I'm going to show you about our living area. We have a saying here, which is that you need to eat, you need to sleep, and you need to live, but you don't need to do all those things at once. And this area is really the center of our home here, and it is where we do all three of those things at different times of the day. I'll start with the living part. This is we call it the salon area, but it is also where people sit down to read or draw or play games or drink their tea or work. This really is the hub of our living area. There's lots of games back there. There's lots of books in our library, and so this is really everyone's space during the day. And you can see it is also where we eat our meals. We have an extension right here to pull out, and with that we can really feed a lot of people. We've had 10, 12, 15 people here for a meal, and we have served hundreds of meals and really thousands of meals and hundreds of people right here at this table. So this is one of our favorite spots. On this side we have a single berth, and it's also called a single bunk, and there's a lee cloth. And we have lee cloths all over the boat for people. And this is in case you want to lie down or sleep when the boat is moving, which might be during the night, but it also could be during the day. People take naps. And you see how once you strap this in, you're not going to fall out. So these lee cloths are, like I said, throughout the boat. These are our wicker baskets, we call them, and they just store a lot of different foods. We have cans, fresh produce. We have one devoted entirely to eggs. We bring up to 30 dozen eggs at a time on our longer trips, so we need lots of space for storage and for eggs.
All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about our navigation station here. So whenever we're underway, we're going to have a chart on this table right here, and one of the really neat things about Amicus II, it actually has a full-size chart table, so you can put out a full chart on here. A lot of your newer boats, because people use electronic navigation primarily, they just have chart tables that will fit like a laptop, and that's it, because most people now navigate off of their laptop or their iPad or their iPhone or something like that. And And we're kind of old school here on Amicus II, so we do all of our navigation primarily with paper charts. And we teach a lot of classes on that. It's becoming a lost art, but so whenever we're underway, you're going to see a chart out here. You're going to see charting tools. You're going to see our log out here, and we update our log about every 2 hours at least, depending upon what type of area we're going through. Sometimes we'll update it more frequently than that. When we look at our station up here, we have a couple different things. We do have a GPS that we use. Again, more as a backup for our paper charts, but we do have actually a couple of them on board. We have VHF radio here, and primarily we're using that to talk to other boats. And what's really critical on this lake is to have something that you can...
Now here is the hazardous weather outlook for portions of northeast Minnesota and northwest Wisconsin.
So we pay attention to that hazardous weather outlook, let me tell you. We have different switches over here for lights and the different instrumentation. We have backup VHF radios. We have several on board that we use, like out at the helm station and that sort of thing. We have lots of paper charts on board. We'll have storage under here for paper charts. And I'm going to show you a little diagram here of Amicus II to give you an idea. This is what Amicus II looks like underneath the water. So right now, if we were floating from about my knees down, we would be underwater. And one of the reasons this boat does not tip over, even in a real strong wind, is it has 10,000 pounds of ballast about 5 feet under the water. And then it has different tanks for the different fluids. We carry about 100 gallons of water in two 50-gallon tanks, and then we have a 50-gallon fuel tank down under the floorboards, and we also have another fuel tank up above, sort of inside the cockpit area there. So that's kind of what it looks like. It's called a full keel. It goes all the way back to the rudder here, and then this would be part of our wind vane steering system back here. All right. Now underneath the chart table, we also have stuff that involves the galley. So we have, we can lift this up, and we have a refrigerator that we have under here, and then we have more food storage underneath the charts right here. So there's, again, just tons of storage on this boat, and it's really built for long-range cruising.
Welcome to the galley, as a kitchen is called on a boat. I'm going to show you first our two sinks and our water sources. We have two sinks, and each sink has a different water source. This water is pumped in from here, and this is outside water, so this comes from the lake, and we use it for dishwashing and other things, not for drinking, but it greatly increases the length that we can stay out because we don't have to refill our water tanks very often. This is our inside water, so this water comes from the tanks under the floorboards, and it also is pumped in. No electronics. We do our fruits and vegetables here. People put their sunglasses in here. This is kind of just a catch-all. And then as I'm turning around here, this is where we keep our spices. We have a 2-burner stove, and we often have 7 or 8 people on board, and we don't make a lot of processed foods or ready-made foods, so we do a lot of cooking on this stove. We have big pots down there. We have an oven right here that I make bread in. And this stove gimbals, which means it rocks. We have a setting under here which can get it rocking so that when we're sailing and it's rousting, we can still cook without having pots tip and water spill. Down in here is a lot of our dish towels, and we have a griddle here. All these, of course, are just full of things. We have pans and bowls in here. Lots of dry goods are stored here. Beans, rice, lentils, all that good stuff. Down here we have our leftover containers, more pots and pans. We even carry things like a tortilla maker and coffee pot. So we get pretty fancy sometimes. It's not like camping bare bones wise. Here's where we keep all our teas and hot chocolates and special teas that people bring. And all the doors open and close, and they have a clicker. so that you can't open them easily, so that if we're tipping, they don't open automatically. Back here we have plates, bowls. Everything is very economical. All the water bottles get stored along here. And altogether, it's a very small space, but it holds a lot.
All right, I'm going to finish up the tour by showing you kind of the aft end of the cabin here. And the two main things we have back here are what we call our quarter berths. And this side is typically where our daughter Lamar would sleep. This side is Cedar's berth. And then they are also available for crew on a lot of our trips as well. A couple other things we have back here are we have our radar screen, lots of fire extinguishers on board. I think we have 5 or 6 of those. Those are very important. And then we have this thing here called an EPIRB, and it's a little satellite beacon that we can use if we're in trouble and there's no other way to get a hold of the Coast Guard. We can set that off and they'll know exactly where we are. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the tour, and please stay tuned though, because now we have just a short clip on what it's like to sail the boat on the outside of the boat and get the feel of what it's like to be out on the lake.